Hi there, it's Ed. Thank you for tuning in to this solo traveler adventure video. This is episode 2 of the adventures of Anselm, the former scout. Although it's kind of really episode 4. Yeah, the whole title's a bit misleading. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and I want to say hello to a lot of new subscribers that I've gotten in the past few days. Thank you for subscribing. I hope you enjoy what you see here. If you do, please feel free to like this video. That's a big help for folks like me putting out stuffs on the YouTubes. Anyway, let's dive right into the adventure. Last time you recall, Anselm, who was newly out of the Scout Service, received a message from his mother. A message saying that she had heard from Anselm's father, the father that left under mysterious circumstances when Anselm was still a child, the father that he had not heard from for over 30 years. In this very brief message, Anselm's mom had said that the dad mentioned he had been on the prison planet, incarcerated for the past 30 years, but he had escaped, and he was making his way through the subsector. I did mention when I rolled this up randomly last time that he alluded to where he was going, and I don't think I mentioned that in the last episode when I was doing my editing. So I'm going to say when he talked to her, he didn't say where he was going. He didn't want to, blow his cover and give the authorities a chance to find him. But he did say, I will be home if I can, as soon as I can. But before I make it back home, those bastards must pay. Who is he speaking of? I have no idea. We're rolling this up randomly using the Mythic Game Master emulator. Anyway, hearing this information, Anselm quickly decided he would jump to the system of Tachalon, which had a very large, very well-traveled starport, trying to find more information about his dad and maybe picking up the trail or finding out any kind of information he might be able to. So he did plot his jump and jump over to the system of Tachalon. But when he arrived, he was greeted by a huge field of debris and flashing energy, and while he was trying to navigate through this swirling mass of debris, he suddenly saw a modular cutter heading right towards him, and the two of them, despite Anselm's best efforts, collided. And that is where we rejoin Anselm. Okay, a couple of things I noticed I did wrong last time. When you have a ship encounter, which is kind of how I know that a modular cutter is here with Anselm, I was rolling a random event on the mythic table. Really should not have done that. Going with the Traveler rules. What you're supposed to do, and I found this after doing some research, you're supposed to roll on the reaction table in the encounter section to sort of see what is the attitude of the ship that you're meeting. So that's what I'm going to do going forward. Something else that I did a little incorrectly, but kind of fixed it inadvertently. So when you're going to set up a scene using Mythic, you decide what is the most logical next scene, and after you decide that, then you roll a 10-sided dice. And if you roll below the chaos factor, you actually have an altered or an interrupt scene, which means something has changed about your presumed scene you're going to go through next. Well, I forgot to do that last time, but in rolling up the random event, I kind of decided it was going to be an interrupt event. So that's why we're in the situation we are right now. So going forward, I'll try to remember to roll the reaction table for a ship encounter, and then the scene modification roll at the beginning of each scene with Mythic. Anyway, having gotten that out of the way, one other thing, I did find a website that would let me do a little nicer map of the subsector and plotted in the communication and the trade routes. And so, looks a bit nicer. So I am going to be referring to that as we're traveling around. Right now, as I say, Anselm is trying to navigate this debris field that he actually just sort of appeared into when he came out of his jump. Is this a naturally occurring debris field? I don't know. We will find that out in a minute. First of all, we need to find out what happens as the scout ship and the modular cutter collide. I'm going to say there's going to be some damage. Since the scout ship is about 50 tons heavier than the modular cutter, I'm going to say that they're both going to take some surface damage, and I'm using the Cepheus Light upgraded rules for the damage, so they're both going to take some surface hits. That could be no damage or a hull breach or things like that. And I'm going to say there's a chance that both of them could take some internal damage as well, just simply because of them careening into each other. Spaceships, not supposed to run into each other. Not a good idea to do that out in the middle of space. Anyway, let's see what happens. First of all, I'm going to roll 2 600 dice and see what kind of damage we do have on the scout ship with Anselm. So let's see what we got here. Alright, so what kind of damage do we have with Anselm's ship? That is a 9, and 9 is a weapon. Alright, he does not have a weapon on this scout ship, so I'm going to say that it is minor damage. It is a hull damage. It is not a breach, because I didn't roll a breach, but it is a certain amount of... Oh, you know what? I think he does have a turret. He doesn't have a weapon on there, but he does crash into the modular cutter, and it destroys the turret. So if he's going to mount a weapon on this scout ship, and he probably should at some point, he'll have to replace the turret as well. So let me make a note of that. The turret... Okay, so that's what happens to the scout ship. Now, what happens to the modular cutter? Let's roll the 2 dice again, and we get a 5. No damage. The attack bounces off. Okay, so I'm going to say this was a very brief, just a scrub one by the other as they went by. Maybe they knocked off an antenna, or maybe there's a long scrape down both the cutter and the scout ship. Remember like the scene in Galaxy Quest when they kind of scrub along the side of the dry dock? If you haven't seen that, check it out. Great movie. Anyway, yes, so there's not a lot of damage. Now I'm going to say there's a possibility maybe they took some internal damage. Since it was just surface damage and really not a lot of damage, I'm going to say it's very unlikely. So I'm going to have to roll a 6 for both of them for them to take some sort of internal damage from their collision. The purple dice is going to be the scout ship, and the green dice is going to be the modular cutter. All right, so if either of them are a 6, there's some internal damage as well. Let's see, what do we get here? All right, so neither is a 6, so they're luckily, whew, there is no internal damage, so they are able to get through. So they do collide. The 2 ships make a horrendous screeching sound as they go by each other. Cosmetically, looks awful. But luckily, they are able to avoid the worst damage that could have happened. There is no hull breach, which I was afraid might happen. So they do continue on. I'm going to let Anselm make another piloting roll to see if he can get out of this debris field without any other incident. He has a piloting of 1. I'm going to say this is an easy task. I'm going to say he's sort of at the edge of this debris field that he's found himself in. So a 6 or more. And what do we have? A 7. Yes, easily. He is at the edge. He goes around piloting through some of these smaller chunks of debris that he does go flying through, and he does make it out of the debris field. Now, here's my question. Is this a naturally occurring debris field? Is this a bunch of asteroids that are floating around the Tachelon system that people account for, and Anselm was just incredibly unlucky to arrive in this? Or, you know, maybe the remains of a tail of a comet that passed by that they knew about? Or is this something else? Is this like not a natural phenomenon? Like it's out of nowhere, nobody knows where it showed up from. So that's what I'm going to roll. That's going to be a mythic roll. And I'm going to say, my question is it a natural phenomenon? You know what, I'm going to say it's unlikely. I don't think this is natural. I think this is something that nobody expected. So it's sort of an unnatural phenomenon. My chaos factor is 5. Unlikely means a 35% chance less for a yes. I think I said that really awkwardly, but you know what I mean. 35 or less, it is a yes. It is a natural phenomenon. Let's see. And that's going to be a 70, a 79. So it is not a natural phenomenon. This is something that was unexpected, came out of nowhere that they had not accounted for. You know, I said like asteroids and meteors, but was it that? Is it like chunks of rock, or is it metal? Is it metal? I don't know. I'm going to roll 50-50 for that. That's also, again, chaos factor of 5, so 50-50 is 50% chance or less for a yes answer. Is this metal? 79. No, it's not metal. So it is big chunks of rock, and it is organic. Well, not organic because it's rock. But is it chunks of organic material? We know it's not metal. Could it be the remains of a large creature? Interesting. I'm going to say that's unlikely. Actually, I'm going to say that's very unlikely that it's the remains of a creature, which only gives us a 25% chance of a yes answer. So is this debris the remains of a creature? Let's see there. No, 52. So it is not. So it is chunks of space rock, a big mass of space rock that has just appeared for some reason. It's not something that they accounted for, not something they expected. It's just there, and we don't know why. And we may not know why. That's just a little chunk out there. I'm actually going to add that as a thread, though, to my to my threads list. That could be something that'll become important later. But not right now, because Anselm is able to get through the modular cutter. You know, I'm going to see if the modular cutter was able to make it through as well. That's also going to be a mythic roll. And I'm going to say it's very likely they did. I'm going to say they were able to get to the edge as well and get past the rest of these asteroids, big chunks of rock. So very likely, 85% chance. Oh yeah, easily. As a matter of fact, something about the two of the ships bumping into each other pushed the modular cutter away from the most dense part of this cluster chunk of asteroid floating in space. So that actually, in a strange way, was beneficial. Helped them get away from the even more dangerous Astro rocks. Astro rocks? Yeah, the space rocks that were there. That's what I'm going to say, at least. All right, so we do have Anselm continuing on, getting through there, getting his landing coordinates, and landing at the A starbase at Tachelon. Now, Anselm's going to have his ship repaired. Right now, as I said, it is hull damage, but it is cosmetic. So I'm going to say it does not affect the space worthiness of his craft. It doesn't look nice. It's a really obvious battle scar. Not even a battle scar. It's a poor piloting scar, which everyone will say, ooh, maybe if this was a game where we had aspects, it would be a distinctive feature. Maybe I'll throw that down, and people will see that to maybe it'll affect their reaction to it when they see the ship. Anyway, it's not something that he has to quickly fix or attend to, but he is going to need to pay his berthing cost. Every time you go to a starport, you have to pay 200 credits, I believe it is, for 10 days in the starport. So we will subtract that from his cash. Okay then, Anselm is now on the starbase of Tachelon. He is in the orbital starbase, landed there quickly since he did careen into another vessel. You know what, I'm going to say also, since he careened into another vessel, there might be some legal trouble with that. Yeah, I mean, they might want to do some inquiries and question him and find out exactly what happened. Especially if this was not a naturally occurring, planned thing they would know would happen. These asteroids, all these chunks of space rock floating around in the Tachelon space. So, let me roll that. Let me find what is the law level. The law level of Tachelon is 3, so pretty relaxed. They're kind of okay about things like that. But I'm going to roll the 2 6-sided dice, and if I roll a 3 or less, then the authorities will have some questions for us. So let's see what we get here. And no, rolled a 9. They saw it happen. They're like, okay, fine, good. See you later. Don't really call him to the carpet on that. Excellent. So now we have Anselm's main thread. His main goal right now is find Dad. You know, right now I'm still calling him Dad, so I feel like we need to flesh his dad out a little bit. Maybe get some ideas of who he was talking about, why his dad left all those years ago under mysterious circumstances, maybe what he was doing before he left, and who can be he's talking about? Who is it he's trying to go get? Did somebody double-cross him? That's kind of what I'm thinking. So let's make some rolls to find out more about his dad. And first of all, instead of just calling him Dad, let's find a name using, again, Xanathar's Guide. So let's find out, what is Anselm's father's name? All right, 35. 35, his name. Ooh, Godfrey. Hello, Godfrey. I say, Godfrey. Yes, so Anselm and Godfrey. I love this. I am so excited about this. All right, so Dad's name is Godfrey. My man Godfrey. And while we're here, let's find out Anselm's mom's name. I just keep calling her his mom. So let's see, is she English? Let's give her a German name, because that's sort of on the same, or the facing page. What's his mom's name? That is a 30. And his mom, Dorothea. Godfrey and Dorothea, with their 9 children. Maybe that's why his dad left. He had 9 kids. Maybe not. All right, so Dorothea and Godfrey. Now we know that when Godfrey left his family, we know it was because he was thought of as being a traitor. And when I think of traitor, that sort of implies that he worked for the government. I think it's likely that he was considered to be a traitor to the imperial government. But I'm going to see if that's true, so I'm going to ask that as a fate question on the Mythic GME table. I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Anyway, let's find out. So, I'm going to say he was considered to be a traitor, And this is still the same scene. So, all right, you know what? I take that back. I take that back. We're not on the same scene. The whole encountering the modular cutter was the same scene. I'm going to say this is a new scene. And I'm going to say that the chaos factor has gone up to 6. Which makes sense. All right, so this is chaos factor of 6. And I'm going to ask the GM emulator, I'm going to ask Mythic, was Anselm's dad working for the government? Was he a government employee or maybe an official? Something like that. So let me find out. With a chaos factor of 6, I'm going to say that is likely. That is 85% chance or less that yes, he was working with the government. A 14 is actually an extreme yes. So, yes, he was not only working for the government, he was an official. He was somebody actually holding office in the imperial government, which is interesting because I would think if you held an imperial office, you would have a decent social standing, but Anselm's social standing is only 6, so middle of the road. So I'm going to say probably Anselm's social standing is lower than his dad's would have been when his dad was a respected member of the imperial government. Interesting. All right, so he was part of the government, but he was considered a traitor and had to leave. Okay. Okay, he was considered a traitor. All right, I have an idea. If Anselm's dad was actually an official, an elected official, somebody important, not just a run-of-the-mill bureaucrat, he was somebody important in the imperial government, and he was considered a traitor. Was he considered a traitor because he was suspected of being an agent of another government? Dun, dun, dun! Maybe. Let's find out. I'm going to ask that as a mythic question. I'm just going to say that's... I'll just give it somewhat likely. Somewhat likely. With the chaos factor of 6 actually means 80 or less. Yes, he was working for a different government. Let's see. What do we get? 67. Yes. Godfrey was actually holding an office as an official in the imperial government. However, he was a double agent. He was a spy for a different government working on the inside, trying to get information from the Imperials. Okay, so I do have a couple of different factions in my subsector that I created right here. I'm not sure if you can tell, but anything within this green line, that is Imperial space, if you can see that. I've actually made another map that I'll try to pop up somewhere that you can see. Somewhere around here. But anything in the green area, or within this green barrier here, that is Imperial space under Imperial control. Anything else in the middle, that is no man's land. That's anybody. And finally, this purple spot here, that is another government. That's actually a religious dictatorship controlled by this planet right here, Endoria. And they are slowly expanding their influence. So could he have been working for the Endorians? Spying upon the rest of the Imperial space. You know what? I'm going to say that is also, because those are the two powers we have right now, I'm going to say that that's likely. I'm going to say that's likely. With a chaos factor of 6, that gives us an 85% chance or less that, yes, he was actually spying for Endoria. Let's see, is that true? Is that a yes? 91 is no. He was not spying for Endoria. He was not spying for Endoria. So who could he have been spying for? So if it wasn't another government, I kind of feel like maybe it was an underground society. Was he spying or was he in league with organized crime? That's a possibility. If it wasn't another government, maybe it was organized crime. I have another idea that it might be. But that's going to be my first question. Was it sort of a criminal organization that is doing some shadowy stuff in the background, trying to manipulate the government for their own nefarious ends? Is that possible? I'm going to say that's 50-50. Again, with a chaos factor of 6, that's going to be 65% chance or less that, yes, he was working or involved with organized crime. And yes, 35, that is who he was working with. So, he was involved in organized crime. He was, and oddly enough, the way this sort of works together, I did say originally in the last episode that he was embezzling. So, that's what was happening. He was skimming money from the budget that he was given, and he was funneling it to some sort of organized crime. So, when the dad said, I'm going to find those bastards and make them pay, he could be talking about whatever organized crime group he's working for, or was working for, or he could be talking about the government, the imperial government. Interesting. I think that's something I will leave as a mystery to find out, as Anselm does. But right now, Anselm would not have known that. Let me say, he would not have known that. Did Anselm's mom knows that? Did she know that? Was she aware of her husband's duplicitous ways? Let's find out. That's just going to be a straight 50-50 question on Mythic, which again, 65% chance or lower that it's yes. 03, yes. She definitely knew. She knew exactly what he was doing. So when he didn't show up, when he left, actually, she kind of knew why, and she knew what might happen to him. So that's why she is even more overjoyed to get the message from him that he has escaped from the prison planet. Right, okay. Anselm is going to want to get to a government planet or a place that has government information or an office where he can find more information and maybe about his dad, if he can get information about what his dad did, what kind of what part of the government his dad worked with or for, or what kind of official he was in. Because I can see that an 8-year-old might not know what his dad's job was. He would just know Godfrey was part of the government. He was an elected official. So he would want to get somewhere where he could find information about that. Tachelon is an A starport. They might have some information, but right next to that, the next hex over at 0703 is Zorasia. And Zorasia, if I remember correctly, and let me check my notes to make sure I am correct. Yes, Zorasia is the subsector capital. So Anselm decides that is his best bet to go there, to go to the archives, the subsector archives, and see if he can find out more information about his dad to get an inkling, an idea of where his dad may have tried to head to once he did escape from the prison planet. Okay, yes, excellent. That's what we're going to do. And Anselm is at an A starport. He is going to need to have some encounters, and possibly, even though he's still okay in credits, he is going to need to pay for his life support, the food, the air, the things he's going to need. He's going to need to have some cash. Eventually, he's going to need to fix that turret that got destroyed. He might want to mount some weaponry on it. If he wants to make any money doing mail, he would need to have. I think you have to have a weapon on your ship to do the mail service. At one time, I think I may have said I wasn't terribly keen on doing the trade portion of Traveler, but it is a part of the game, and I do want to experience that. I want to try to do a little bit of everything that Traveler offers. And it actually is more important than I originally realized, because I was expecting he would go to scout bases to be refueled, to get some repairs and various things like that. But after I rolled up, scout bases, as you might imagine, are few and far between. And there are some other scout bases, but they're outside of Imperial space, and I don't know that they would, for free, take care of him. So he is going to need some credits. So while he is in Tachelon, we're going to see if he can't find a way, make a little cash, make a little money. And he can do that a wide variety of things. I'm going to just go back to the encounter checklist, now that he is there on page 100 and 101 in the Traveler book. For those of you following along at home. Anyway, let's see. So we have a routine encounter. There is none. Adventure. Let's see, adventure encounter. An adventure encounter would be him seeing if he could find... Oh, you know what? One of the reasons why he wanted to come here was to see if there was any information on the Newsnet. I guess that's what they might call it. On Imperial News Now. Is there any information about a prison break? Is there anything on the news about so many individuals escaped from the prison? Let's find out. Let's ask that as a Mythic question. Let's see, Mythic GM screen. Is there information on the news about a prison break from the Imperial planet? You know what? I'm going to say, would they want that to get out? I mean, they would want people to be on the lookout, though. I'm going to say it is likely. I'm going to say it's likely that there would be information on the news that there has been a prison break. So that is going to be, again, an 85% chance or less. So let's see. 37, yes. It is on the news. There has been a prison break. There's been a few individuals who have staged a daring escape from Vilmork, ever how you pronounce that. I should decide. It's my planet. I'll decide how to pronounce it. Vilmork! That is it. They have escaped from the prison planet of Vilmork, and they must be recaptured. Yes, now we go live to Vilmork with the Warden giving an interview. Warden, can you tell us exactly how many prisoners have escaped from Vilmork? How many have escaped? The number 3 pops in my brain. I just think maybe there's going to be 3. That's going to be my mythic question, 50-50 chance. Is it more than 3? Actually, no, let me say that. Is it 3? Because you rolled for a yes answer. So let's see, 65% chance. Isn't it 3? 26, yes. 3 people did escape. So this is the Warden says, yes, 3 individuals, hardened criminals who are serving lengthy sentences here on Vilmork, have staged a daring escape and are currently on the run. If you see any of these individuals, and they do flash up pictures of all 3 of them, if you find any of these individuals, please report to your local Star Law immediately. They are considered to be dangerous. There we go. And Anselm does see that, and he does see the picture of his dad flash up, and he sees a picture of, let's see, is this other fugitive male or female? 1 to 3 is female. The other one is female. What about the last one? And so Anselm's dad, Godfrey, and a male and a female, and they are currently fugitives, and they are on the run from the law. Definitely Anselm's dad, Godfrey, is trying to find who he blames or who he holds responsible for betraying him, turning him in, giving information about his illicit dealings with organized crime, and getting him sent to Vilmork for his lengthy sentence. All right, so he does find that out. Excellent. So while Anselm is there, he is going to try to get to Zorasia. As I say, that's the subsector capital. So the next thing we look for, that was the adventure encounter. Let's look for a legal encounter. Is there a legal encounter? Using the Star Wars and H.P. Lovecraft dice this time. We have to roll, let's see, law level or less. And since the law level on Tacalon is 3, probably unlikely he'll have a law encounter. But let's find out. Oh, that is a 6. So, no law encounter for Anselm while he is here. But he is looking for a patron or a rumor or something he can maybe make a little bit of money. So let's see. Does he find a patron? Does he find a patron that is 5 or better on a 6-sided dice? So is there a patron that he can find? Yes, there is. There is a patron. He does have a patron encounter. Okay, good. This could be a good thing for him. Maybe. We'll see what happens. All right, I think there are 2 different patron lists on page 100, called Patron List 1 and Patron List 2. And I think I just get to decide which of the 2 I want to roll on. And I don't think he gets a specific modification depending on which he is on there. So I'm just going to roll randomly and see which one I'm going to roll on. So Patron List 1 will be 1 to 3. Patron List 2 will be 4 to 6. What do we get? That's a 5. Patron List 2. Now we're going to roll the Patron Matrix and see who we get. So purple being the first die, green being the second die. And what have we there? So 6 and 6. 6 and 6 on to a diplomat. Okay, a diplomat, which makes sense. If Anselm makes it known that he is going to Zorasia, then it makes sense that he would be able to find a diplomat who would come up to him and want transportation to Zorasia. Makes perfect sense. I'm going to find out who this diplomat is. And I'm going to do that using the Une, or Un, depending on how you want to pronounce it. It is a great supplement by Conjecture Games, the same people that made Bold, where I worked out some of the background for Anselm. And it will give you some information about various NPCs, so that's what I'm going to do right now. When you create an NPC using Un, or Une, by Conjecture Games, you have a modifier and you have a noun to describe who they are. Now, first of all, we already know the noun. It is a diplomat. But I want to roll the modifier, and that is a percentile dice roll. So what is the modifier for this diplomat? A 71. That is an inconsiderate diplomat. All right, good to know, good to know. And what is he after? What maybe is his mission? Why is he going to Zorasia? Motivation. In motivation, we have a verb and a noun. So let's find that out. That is going to be 34 plunder. And what are we plundering, Mr. Diplomat? 11. Plunder contraband. Interesting. So that is what he's trying to do. That's why he's going to Zorasia. He is a diplomat. And he is an inconsiderate diplomat who's going to Zorasia to plunder contraband. Yes, so I'm guessing there is some sort of message board, or there is a notice board, or there is an office where if you are traveling from star system to star system and you're looking for a patron, or if you're looking to do trade, there's a way to find what's going where. And there is someone who's listed that they need transportation quite quickly to Zorasia. Turns out to be a diplomat named Simon. His name is Simon, and he does meet Anselm. I understand you're heading to Zorasia. I also need to get to Zorasia quite promptly. Therefore, if you can provide passage for me, I shall be willing to modestly compensate you. I can't think of the word all of a sudden, but I will pay you a certain amount of money. Yes, sir, I am heading to Zorasia. If you wish to book passage upon my ship, I must let you know it is a scout ship, so in the strictest technical term, I'm not supposed to provide passenger services. Don't tell me your problems. I don't care about your silly scout regulations. I just need to get to Zorasia, and I need to get there promptly. That is the most important thing. There are important matters I must attend to when I get to the capital. So, can you provide me passage or not? That is all I need to know. Yes, I can. It will cost 8,000 credits to get there. Fine. Yes, I'll transfer the money to your account. When shall we leave? We can leave within the week. Excellent. I will send you my itinerary, and we shall leave as soon as possible. Good day. And they do exchange information, how to get a hold of him, and Simon does leave. He is kind of inconsiderate. All right, so he does have some money. He'll get about 8,000 credits coming in. I'm going to say that's middle passage. So he will have that coming in. Right now, though, he'll have to pay to recharge the life support. That's going to be 2,000 credits per person. If I remember correctly, looking here on page 55 on the Traveler book, life support is 2,000 per crew member, high or middle passenger, per trip for 2 weeks. So that is going to, I don't think you can get less than 2 weeks. I think they're going to go ahead and have 2 weeks. So he's going to pay an extra 4,000 credits, which gets him down below 1,000 credits that he has. So having another 8 will be a huge boon for Anselm. Is he going to try to do some trading? Now might be a good time to check that part of the adventure out, or that part of the rules out. The way I read it in the book here, and this is Trade and Commerce, pages 104 and 105 in the Traveler book. I'm going to roll 2 6-sided dice and find out what's available. I'm going to roll a 6-sided dice, take half of what I roll, and decide that's how many different trade goods are available. He can take one, or he can take some, or he can take none, just depending on what's available. So let's find out. Let's see. First of all, rolling the d6, dividing by 2. So what do we get here? 2. So 1. There's only one cargo, one trade good available that actually somebody wants to take to Zorasia. What is that? What is available? Or is it going to, does it something Zorasia even wants? Let's find out what it is. Again, red is the first roll, green is the second. 44. A lot of doubles. If this was mythic, I would have a random event, but it's not, so I don't. Blades. They are willing to take blades. The base price is 10,000 per ton. He really can't afford that. He cannot afford to buy those because he does not have enough money. Let's see. Industrial rich and poor is a +3. So, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, he can't buy those, so he does not have enough money. So, no trading for Anselm this trip. Anselm then is just going to be taking Simon the Diplomat, the inconsiderate diplomat, to Zorasia. So that's what's going to happen. Before he leaves, let's see, does he hear any rumors? So that's 2 dice, 7 or more. He does hear some rumors. Let's see here. And we have 4. And he has to roll a 7 or more, so no, here's no rumors. You know something I just realized also, and again, this is me kind of learning as I go, I didn't roll a reaction for Simon. He's inconsiderate, but what is his reaction to Anselm? Let me roll on the reactions table and see what kind of reaction he has. And that's an 8, which is interested. All right, so he is inconsiderate, but he's interested in Anselm. I'm going to say interested in maybe his former service, because that's what he might talk about, his service for many years in the Scouts. Or maybe he's interested in exactly why Anselm is going to Zorasia. That could be it as well. All right, so they do spend there for a while. They spend their few days there at Tachelon, getting ready to head to Zorasia. Nothing else seems to happen. There are no trade goods going to Zorasia, at least none that Anselm can afford to purchase, to speculate on. And after a while, he does contact Simon. He says, sir, we are ready to lift off in the next day or so. Yes, fine. Yes, I will have my porters bring all of my equipment and my goods to your ship. And his porters do loads them all up, and they are ready to depart from Tachelon. He did gas up at he fueled up, didn't gas up, but he got fuel from a gas giant when he first got to the system, so he doesn't have to pay for that, but he does have the possibility of a drive failure or a misjump. So we'll see what happens. All right, so they do continue on. They take off and leave. He's been in the orbital starport of Tachelon, heading off and getting ready to do a jump to Zorasia. So going through again the typical activities, let's see, does he have a ship encounter on the way out? Let's find that. Starship encounters. And this time I will roll on the reaction roll if he does have one. So this is an A starport. There is not a naval base. So it's just the A starport. So let's see what we get. Is there a ship there as well? That is a 10. A 10 means yes. There is a subsidized merchant, which makes sense because this is quite a busy trade route through this section of the subsector. Now let's roll on the reaction table. Do they have any specific reaction to him? Let's roll that. 2d6. And the reaction is violent, immediate attack. So, as Anselm is leaving the starport and heading out, trying to get far enough away from the planet and the starport to make the jump to Zorasia, he does see a subsidized merchant coming in towards him. He does try to veer out of the way to avoid the subsidized merchant. However, they notice quickly that the subsidized merchant also changes their course. As a matter of fact, as they're trying to get away, the subsidized merchant falls in and starts pursuing them. Not only pursuing them, but takes a couple of shots. Suddenly, as he's flying, there is blaster fire. Ping! Ping! Laser blast. Explode around him. He's like, what? What's going on? Why is the merchant shooting at me? Could it be the distinctive mark he has on his scout ship is the same mark of a pirate that attacked this merchant? Or does this merchant know that Simon the Diplomat is on this ship and they're trying to stop him from doing whatever mission he is after? Oh heavens, let's ask a mythic question and find out. Our chaos factor is 6, so let's find out. I'm going to say 50-50, I have no idea. Are they trying to get to Simon? Chaos factor of 6, 50-50 chance means 65% chance of a yes. Are they after Simon? 19. 19 is a... It's not an exceptional yes, but it is a yes. So yes, they are after Simon. So they immediately fall in behind. There's blaster fire, explosions. Kaboom! 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 Anselm can tell that the gunners on the merchant ship are trying to lock in on him and shoot him. He turns on hailing frequencies, turns on his communication equipment. Merchant ship. Ceasefire. I'm a scout ship, former scout, merely performing courier duties from Tachelon to Zorasia. Please, hold fire, we are not a threat. And he gets a voice come back across the communication channel saying, yes, I know exactly where you are going. And I know exactly who you have on board. He shall never reach Zerasia alive. And that is where we will rejoin Anselm next time. Okay. He just wanted to make some money, and now there's a guy attacking him because he's got a diplomat on board. So, will Anselm be able to avoid the attack by the merchant? Exactly why does this merchant ship not want Simon to make it to Zerasia? And can Anselm get away before being shot down by a well-armed merchant ship? We should find out next time. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. That helps out a small-time content producer like me a lot. And if you enjoyed this, please feel free to subscribe, let me enunciate, and, click the bell icon. You'll get a notification when another one of these comes up. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. That was kind of cheesy. Not saying I'm going to cut it.